Hello everyone, welcome to Flight School at the Proving Grounds. Today we're joining Battle Garegga, if I'm pronouncing that correctly today. Originally an arcade game, turned into an incredibly expensive saddle game, turned into a updated PS4 game. This game is apparently very notorious in the Sega Saturn shmup scene, as it values at about over $200 fucking online. Man, Japan and its expensive shmups. Thankfully, for those who don't want to spend that much money, Limited One Games did a physical version for the PS4 of the newer, updated version that came out, apparently, I believe, in 2016. Now, I'm not the best person to talk about shmups, so just to put that out there, but this game features a option that I actually didn't even realize you could do, change formations of the little additional planes you can collect during your playthrough, the very familiar special weapon that blocks bullets, varying on every pilot being slightly different, having a add credit option as you unlock that option through. You slowly get extra credits, and then you'll eventually get a free play where you can add as many credits as you want. Obviously, your regular shooting, and that's about it when it comes to the controls. One of the things that's kind of noteworthy with this title, when I looked into some of the past to read up a little about the arcade and Saturn versions of this game. So apparently this game was very noteworthy in shmups for purposely not making the bullets stand out. Now, in the version I'm playing, I'm not familiar with the Saturn version, so I'm not in a good situation to really talk about what's different in that regard. But I can tell you with the PS4 version, you get lots of fucking options with this game. I mean, seriously, there are tons of things you can mess around with this. And that includes changing the color of the bullets, how you want the screen. You can scale it, you can make it sideways, have the TV up and down, so it's a long screen like an arcade cabinet. Like, it gives you a lot of options. Plus, it gives you the original arcade, the Saturn version, and then a new version of the soundtrack referred to as the Perfect Edition. Personally, I liked the Saturn version tracks, so when I played this, that's what I went with myself. So, at the beginning of the game, when you first boot this up, you have access to 4 ships, but there's actually 8 ships. Now, I didn't figure this out until after I beat the game once, so I don't know if they're locked per se, but under the special settings, you actually have to go and actually turn on the 4 additional ships you can play as, which when my viewers Pad told me, I believe he said they came from a completely another game, which I would assume is from the same developers, I would assume. But they are very different. They are very different. They have like a weird animal theme, and their special bullets and everything are very unrealistic, where much of the enemies and the four original ships play a lot like normal types of bosses, more realistic. So they'll have a special bizarre thing, because they have very odd special bullets. I mean, hell, one of them summons like a giant genie in that. But all those special attacks and shit have varying degrees of differences in that. So, like many shmups with different ships, you'll have to find which one you find more comfortable in your playstyle, being more aggressive or defensive. Now, you power up your ship by collecting all kinds of medals that fall from your foes or out of their enemy buildings. Different ones do different things, powering your gun, giving you the little assisting ships and such. And when you die, they randomly get thrown in the air, and you get a chance to get some of them back But the more you have, the less likely you're going to get them all before they fall off screen. And speaking off screen, one of the things I actually really dislike about the game is the fact they can fall off the side of the screen. The bottom screen's one thing, but it's kind of annoying, like if you die on the far left or right, it'll kill an enemy even on the far right and left, and it just flies off the screen before you even had any real chance to get. I would have weathered if it bounced back in and let you get a chance, but that's just a personal little gripe. The other thing I didn't like at first was definitely the more realistic bullets, because the enemies and buildings and shit all explode in the debris, which, I mean, is cool looking, but when you have all your bullets mix into the background, it makes it really hard to, like, I mean, this is a game, if you wanted to play that way, you'd probably want to be a very big shmup person for that kind of challenge. Luckily, like I said, at least on the PS4 version, there is an option to change the bullet colors. I don't know if that's an option in the Saturn version. Probably best to stick to that one if you only really want the Saturn version. If you're like a big collector of the Saturn version of that. Obviously, especially digitally, this is more affordable. Hell, even physically, it's still more affordable. The graphics and everything, considering it's a really old arcade game, it looks really good, I do have to say. And there's very little slowdown. There's a few moments of some slowdown, obviously, when there's a lot of bullets on screen. But besides that, it pretty much handles itself pretty decently. I really do like the art style and everything. Especially the additional 4 ships, even though they stick out like a sore thumb because they are just incredibly bizarre compared to everything else. They all play very nicely and differently. Like there's one that has a lot of fucking firepower that moves slowly and shit. But overall, this is a very tough game. If you like checked out my live stream of it, I die like a bazillion times. It's not an easy one. It's definitely not an easy one. I enjoyed it, but I would have to, there's no way I could do this game in one life. It is seriously a very hard one, because you don't even get a lot of options to defend yourself like Blaze. Blaze, you get a lot of opportunity to defend yourself because your special powers can refill over time, so if you balance your usage, you can always have some that fall back on. This doesn't have that. That one's a lot more kinder, you could say. But it still was very enjoyable, and I enjoyed the Saturn track very much. Now, if you're looking to buy this, like I said, the Saturn version, there's no fucking way you're gonna find that cheap without like some miracle. Now, if you don't care about physical, digitally for the PS4, and it's also on the Xbox One apparently, for $34.99 digitally. Now, the limited one version on eBay currently is running around $50, which is not necessarily a bad price for something that, at least on Saturn, is a vast fortune. So, I mean, if you definitely want it physically, it's still a pretty decent deal in that regard. I definitely would say it's not a super long game, like most shmups, if you at least use continues. If you're trying to do it in one life, oh boy, you're going to probably get a lot of playtime in that regard then. But it's not a super long game. You're probably looking at just, I don't know, maybe about, I think it was about like an hour to go through it one time once I got free credits. Before then, I had to do it a few times to unlock that. And some of the bosses are pretty fun. Some of them bizarre, and some of them are fun. But overall, like I said, I'm not the best person to talk about shmup, but it definitely, I think if you're the kind of shmup person looking for a really good challenge, this game will offer you a lot of options, because you can make it harder and shit, you can make it easier, you can really change a lot of crap. You can even change how the score and stuff works. So I think there's a lot of nice options here for people who want to mess with the penalty. Like, hell, you can mess with penalties, auto collect medals, so you can make it easier, harder. I mean, you can really customize this to your playstyle. There's just so many options. But in that regards, I enjoyed the game, but I suck at it. There's just no way around it. I suck at it, but I liked it. You can always rely on the continues to finish the game if you suck, and if you want a real good challenge, well, you got that option too, because you can control whether you put a credit in, so you can always decide how you want to do that. Or you can even turn free mode off, I believe. Once you even unlock it, I believe you can turn it off itself, so. Now, if you're into replaying, like with trophy support and such, the game does feature trophy support. It does have a platinum. I did all the ship endings. Each ship has its own ending, and I ended up with 64%. So that's a pretty decent chunk of it from just playing all the ships. But there's a few extra challenges to get in every stage of that. I haven't really bothered going back of that, but it looks like overall I don't see anything that's particularly like absolutely insane too much. There's probably one in here for like, let's see, clear easy mode, clear premium mode, but they all say okay, so technically this is probably a pretty easy trophy list to complete if I really wanted to sit down and finish the rest of it, because it lets you use continues. It looks like there's no actual, like, you know, beat the whole game in one life. As far as I know, there's no secret boss in this one. That's more of a trait that started around, what's that company that does the 360 shmup games? Cave. I think that's something Cave became really notorious for doing, wasn't it? So, again, I'm not the greatest person for shmup information, but overall, I enjoyed the game. I'd say, considering it's decent, it's short. Like I said, this is a tricky game for me to really nail down, because it's not really aimed at me, because I suck at these kind of games, sadly. But I can appreciate it. I don't think $30 is too bad for it. I mean, it's a pretty well-looking good game with some nice music in the sound department. And definitely better price than the sound version. And it runs good. Like I said, I don't see any problems with running it, but I obviously haven't played the sound version, so I can't compare those two. But Pat didn't note anything odd. At least he didn't mention anything of that, so I think it turned out to be a pretty good version. But if you want a physical version, should you pay $50 for the Limited One version on eBay if you didn't buy it from Limited One? That really depends on you. It's obviously seems like a better option than the Saturn version. And so far, as far as I can tell, the Saturn version is still worth $200. But it'll be interesting to see if its price goes down any over time. Like I said, this digitally came out in 2016, so it's been out available digitally for a while. So, but now that there are physical versions on top of those, it'll be interesting to see how that affects, because a lot of times that affects whale games. So, but I think $30 is not too bad. So, the digital version's not priced awfully. I'm not sure if this is available on PC, but if it is, I would imagine it's the same price. But either way, if you're a shmup person, especially if you want a challenge, I probably would definitely recommend this. If you're like me and you just gotta rely on tons of credits, then that kind of depends on your tolerance of blowing up a lot. But those are my thoughts on the game. Thank you for watching. If you feel like you've learned something from this, feel free to leave a like. And if you feel like you've learned absolutely nothing because you're shmup trash, Atticusmj, feel free to leave a dislike. Feel free. Till next time.
どうだった？私の作った